Are there particular techniques that you can use to actually improve your reading instead of just doing old exams and hoping that you get a good score? I think so. And in this series of 4 videos, we're going to go through 4 useful techniques for a B2 C1 level and focus on how we can improve in these different exam tasks. I'm Steve, I'm your YouTube English teacher, and we're going to start with skimming. And we're going to look at C1 reading part 5. How can you skim, by which we mean reading quickly to get the main idea, not thinking too much about details, focusing on keywords. How is that particular skill going to help you focus in the exam? Well, it's useful for one important reason. You need to know the general idea of the topic so you know what you're reading about. I refer to this a lot in my reading videos, but I know this as someone who has learned second languages. When you're reading a text and you sort of understand half of it, but everything's a bit foggy and unclear and it's a horrible feeling. Well, if you can understand the general idea because you've read it quickly and it's something you're familiar with, you think, oh, okay, this is that old topic of the benefits of walking. Okay, now I've got a clear idea what they're going to talk about. Then you're going to be more comfortable. You're going to be able to understand it and answer the questions. It's also very useful because you don't get so much time in a Cambridge exam for B2 and C1 reading. They're long texts. There's 3 or 4 of them. Difficult, complex, nuanced texts. It takes some time. If you can skim, you might be able to save some time and still optimize your performance and get most of those correct to get that percentage score to pass. So we're going to look at reading part 5 in C1 and B2, multiple choice. My previous tips from previous videos, which you've all watched, still apply. This is about close reading. You can't skim the whole thing and expect to get it right. You have to skim it to find the part that's important or to find the idea. Then you will have to read it closely to think, okay, A says this, B says this, C says this. That still applies. But what I'm saying is skimming is a technique that can be useful in addition to that. And when I say 24 true or false questions, this is a useful way that I have of thinking about the multiple choice options. Really, it's true or false with 3 false answers and 1 true. Your job is to understand the text to say which one is true. So anyway, let's get into this and think about what does it mean when we skim. Well, I'd like you to read the opening paragraph of this C1 reading part 5 about space dust, and then think about what are the most important ideas as you read it very quickly. We're going to have like 30 seconds to read it. So you're not going to understand everything, but that's fine. Pause, read for 30 seconds. What key point stuck with you? Without looking at it now, what could you tell me about that text? Hopefully you're saying, okay, it's something about small meteors. There's a lot of them that fall on Earth. They contain some interesting material. These should be the key points that stuck with you because you skimmed it and you understood, okay, these were the key verbs, the key nouns of this text. I was thinking about, obviously, let's use the subheading because a subheading, they've put it there to help you get the general idea. What is space dust? We're not talking about, some kind of drug or some kind of David Bowie reference. No, it is the rocks from outer space. They're really small. They are not, when you say rocks, okay, let's be careful, but they are specks of dust. They're literally, you can barely see them. They're really old. There's a lot of them. And they have some interesting materials in them. Like we said, those are the key ideas. Once we've understood that, we should have a good idea of how to answer our first multiple choice question in this exam. The whole exam will be in the description. So I would recommend, once you've got this idea that I'm trying to explain down, this idea of skimming it to get the key idea, then reading in detail to check, go and do the whole exam, because now we're going to go through all the answers to the 6 multiple choice questions, which you have skim read if you followed my advice. Number 1 then, the only one that's actually true. This might not sound much, but it's 100 tons a day. It's a significant quantity. That's the point that comes across. Even if you skim read that one, I think by skim reading, we should be able to get that one right because actually the options were fairly easy for a C1 exam. So well done if you got it, but they're going to get more difficult. Here's the whole text, which will be in the description. And here are the questions, which will be in the description. And let's go through these. So our second paragraph, question 2, what do experts think about them? Well, they thought he would be unsuccessful. They thought it was too difficult. The difficulty was overwhelming. Means the same thing, it's 2C. Number 3, third paragraph, what have we learned about Larsen? Well, what we do know is that he was humble, he was not starry-eyed, and he had a system. To me, it sounds like he's quite realistic. He's not going crazy. He's not with his head in the stars and so on. He's down to earth. Lots of nice idioms in this little expression, isn't there? Number 4, why is he like a detective? Well, again, key ideas here. Eliminating things from inquiries, that's being systematic. I'm looking at everything and then eliminating some. I've got a system. And number 5, this I think was the most difficult question. This one, I was 50-50 to be honest, and I think you could probably argue between B and D, but B is probably slightly better given that we've got this complex molecules with exciting implications, so there's lots of information that you could find there. The problem with D is that were they unsure of their significance? I don't think so. They knew the significance, they just didn't have any to study. So it's not quite D, although it was a tough one, that one. And finally, this one was also a little bit tough, but this one you've just got to sort of eliminate some of the things that don't sound good and go with the obvious one and go with unexpected and odd, so it's unusual. Where is he feeling privileged, the writer? In the whole general sense of, I got a sense of how important it was, the magic, finally he showed me one. You get a sense that he's impressed, that he feels privileged to be there, although it's not explicit. But in a coming video, we will talk about how to infer information like that as well, another skill. So you've had 6 questions there, 12 marks, remember, for your B2 and C1 exam. How did you do? What do you need to improve? Can you keep practicing with skills like I've shown you, skim reading, to improve that reading score? I hope so. It doesn't finish there though, because with these kind of skills, we can also practice use of English. I think that even for something like part 1, you can use skimming skills. Now, what I'm talking about here is the possibility that, I want to be careful what I say, maybe you don't need to really read or pay attention to the whole text. Now, as a teacher, I'm saying please do that. Obviously, I tell my students to read it, to understand it, and we say, oh, it's about technological gadgets. What's your opinion on? Tell me about... This does help you. But I also understand that the pressure of the exam sometimes means you don't have time. You just want to get the answer. And sometimes you can do that. I've highlighted 4 of these questions because I think that these 4 questions, you don't need to read the rest of the text, and you should be able to answer these 4 questions just based on, I've skimmed it, I've seen the word just before the gap, so I know what goes in the gap. Now be careful, because they might try and trick you. There might be negatives, there might be howevers, there might be things like this. But some of these you should be able to answer just by looking at what is highlighted. So pause the video, try this use of English part 1, try and do it quickly, like try and skim read it. And I know a lot of students do this anyway, they don't read the text, they don't think about the topic. Well, now I'm saying, okay, let's try it, let's see if that helps. Then for the other ones, for 2, 5, 6 and 7, I think you do have to read the sentence a bit more carefully and understand what it's about and the meaning and the context. But some of them, you can try it. Okay, you've paused the video, you've done it, I'm talking too much. Here come the answers. Number 1 is going to be case, because I hope this is the case. That's a collocation, that just goes together. The other ones don't fit in that sentence. Number 2, this one I think, well, we're doing them in this order. Number 3, something is vitally important. The other words don't fit with important, they just don't go together. Something is very important, it's vitally important. Number 4, what does... Oh, yeah, this one you had to read quickly. But again, reading quickly, I think you can get it. Long-term memory is vast, but memory is limited. Vast and limited, these are contrasting. We know it's the start of a sentence without any commas. It's going to be although, despite the fact that although. And then number 8, we can also do complex may appear to the necessity. You remove a necessity because we need a word that means get rid of. And the only word there that means get rid of, do away with, is remove. For the other ones that you had to think about, number 2 is going to be confirm, because you are confirming your attachment if you really love devices. Number 5, your memory is overloaded. That was pretty tough, but thinking about there's too much weight on it, there's a big load on it, it's overloaded. Number 6, again, this is context. The answer is going to be therefore, because if we understand this, it's saying that you need to do this, which is memorize things, so that, therefore, you can have more space in your short-term memory, and you're going to understand better by using long-term memory. Therefore, that's how it works. It's understanding the general ideas in the sentences. And number 7, you're going to digest information. That's the word that means understand, digest it. But hopefully you see what I mean about skimming for part 1. Right, we're going to finish this class because, as always, my YouTube videos are just classes that I'm uploading to the internet. High quality, useful classes. We're going to finish with a bit of speaking from part 1 because it's the first in our Skills for Reading series. And we have some questions that we might have in speaking part 1 related to the topic we've just looked at. Feel free to have a think about these. I'm not going to do them now because this is not a live class that we could have. But if you do want a live class, hey, leave a comment. And if you're very rich, then please pay me lots of money and we can do this in person. That would be great. Right, that's enough for that. Goodbye.